Hi everyone, this is Jason again with Education Quest, and this month with Education Quest Live we have Tom Searl here.
Thanks for having me.
Tom's joining us. He just finished his freshman year at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Correct.
And as we've said in the promos and stuff, he's going to talk about his experience and kind of what that first year was like and how he adjusted to different things. So if you have any questions for Tom or for me or anything about planning for college or paying for college, you can put those questions in the comments. We are live on Facebook and on YouTube, so they're in different places. With Facebook, it's typically down below us, and with YouTube, the questions are kind of over here. So any questions you have, we'd be happy to kind of answer those. Obviously, like we've done before, we have some kind of preset so we don't sit here staring at a blank screen for a while. So let's first start with kind of thinking a year back. So right now, this time last year, you were kind of getting ready to go off to college and that whole kind of new transition. So kind of tell me kind of what you were feeling and what you were thinking and that, kind of leading into that first year.
So a year ago, I would say I was both a little nervous and excited. Excited in terms of excited to meet new people, excited to take some new classes that I haven't taken before. But on the other side, it's sort of nerve-wracking because I'm on my own for my first time. No parents. Parents have been there my whole life. And it's really just sort of sending you out on your own. You have to take responsibility in terms of going to class, getting your schoolwork done, and things like that.
Yeah, so what were you nervous about? I mean, those are the kinds of things you're excited for as that kind of change. But were there things that were just like scared you about going off to college?
Yeah, I would say it was a lot of the little things mostly. Parents waking you up if you oversleep or something, stuff like that. And also if you need help on anything, or even just little things like outside of school too, like going to your parents, talking to them, which you can still do in college. You can call them up, but it's sort of not the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of students who've had that same kind of feeling about that difference between, being able to just turn to mom and ask her a question versus now I got to call her on the phone and is it a good time for them or are they doing something else?
Exactly.
And so that's definitely something that took some getting used to, I'm sure. So did the reality of college as far as like academics and social life and things like that, did that look like what you expected or were there something different that surprised you?
I would say a little bit of both. So the high school I went to, Creighton Prep, prepared me very well for what college was like academically. But in terms of the social life, I don't think I was expecting it to be as large as it was because, in high school, it's not as big, obviously. So you're sort of just, everyone knows everyone there. But in college, you're surrounded by 25,000 people. And you don't know a lot of people, but you get to know them pretty well, which was great experience. Yeah,
and you start to realize that like your circle of friends in college is such a small representation of your freshman class as a whole. So we talked a little bit in kind of prepping for this. You had joined a fraternity your first year. So what would you advise students as far as that process and kind of let them know about what that process is like?
So I would start off by saying it's really good to pick what fits you best. There's a lot of different fraternities out there, a lot of different options, but in terms of doing what's best for you, like academically, socially, you just need to do what you want to do. Fraternities provide a lot of great experiences in terms of meeting new people and making sure that you're staying on top of your grades. For example, I had study hours my first semester in the fraternity. So that was Monday through Thursday, 6 to 9, studying, making sure you're staying on top of grades. So I would say it's a really good experience to look into.
So those study hours, was that just to kind of, acclimate you to the academic process and the changes in academics?
I would say definitely, and it was sort of nice. So first semester, if you've had a 3.0 or higher, you didn't have to go second semester, but a lot of kids still wanted to stay on top of it. So
keep that routine.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids still went second semester, even though they didn't have to.
So you talk about academics. Did you have to change any of your study habits from high school to college?
I would say so. In high school, I would spend like an hour or two each night on homework, or it's for some kids like myself included, I sort of push things off towards the last minute, but in college you have so many deadlines and dates to meet that it's really important to stay on top of it, work on something each night so that when the night before comes, you're not cramming for a test or trying to finish a project.
So we've written a lot of blogs on like the academics and how it's different between high school and college. Mm-hmm. Did you find that the classes themselves were that much different?
A little bit, because in college you can have a class size of, for example, I had one with about 400 kids in it. Mm-hmm. And in high school, my biggest class was probably like 35 people. So in terms of that, some classes being bigger, you don't get that same connection with the teacher. So it's really important to go outside or like take the time outside of class to schedule an appointment so they really get to connect with you. If you're struggling academically, for them to help you out.
So we talked earlier a little bit about like there's some physical things that can have to change, and for some students that is, migrating from kind of a notebook system to maybe a digital system, mm-hmm. Maybe because of that large classroom. Did you change anything about how you took notes or mm-hmm. How you prepared for tests?
So in high school, I was a pen to paper type of guy, even though we had iPads installed my sophomore year, I think. Okay. And then in college, it's a laptop system, so a lot of kids I know just type notes. Mm-hmm. But I still stayed with the old pen and paper. Yeah. I just think I retain information better if I write it. And in terms of preparing for tests, I would just study my notes. Study guides to print off are really helpful as well. I also like to use Quizlet, though, on the other hand, which is an online study guide in a sense. So I would say both ways are unique and helpful.
Do you use their app?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
I wrote about long time ago. Gosh, I think it's probably been like 5 years since I've done I did a blog on just like apps that help you mm-hmm. with college or apps that help you study, and then Quizlet was on there because it was one that I thought was really cool, just like digital mm-hmm. flashcards. Yeah. So it's great that you found something mm-hmm. like that kind of helped supplement that. So and I think what you say is important. Each student's different. Each student has different needs academically, and so if you are a pen to paper kind of person, then it's okay to kind of stick with that and you can be successful. But if you're also someone like me who's just knee deep in technology and, mm-hmm. and that, so you can modify that kind of however mm-hmm. it's going to fit your needs. So we had some interesting questions come in. We had someone on our Facebook page that sent us some questions, and it was a mom, and she was really interested, and her student was really interested in it and intrigued by like how the food situation works. Right. So I don't know, maybe it was a temporary thing. They were just hungry that day. Yeah. But lots of questions about like how did you do food? Did you have a card? Was it on your end card?
Right. So it's sort of different for fraternities. If you live in the house, you'll have a chef like I did, cook you lunch and dinner Monday through Fridays, and then on the weekends you're on your own. Okay. So, and then for people who live in the dorms, typically they have a meal plan, so it's on your end card, mm-hmm. so you can just go to the dining hall anytime for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I believe. So, and they're open on weekends.
Which is a nice
thing. It is. But I would say with both of those, I would say it's smart to bring some like smaller items to keep in your room. Like if you have a refrigerator, mm-hmm. Stuff like that, non-perishable stuff too. So that you can make, if you just want a little snack or something like that, it's important to have those little items too for you.
Do you know, is it limited then on the number of times you can visit in a day or in a week or anything like that?
For the dining halls, I do not believe there's a limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So most of them are just,
just scan
whenever you want, you can just go in and grab something. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. But yeah, it is nice, if you're having to kind of cut back to your dorm between classes or something, to have snacks and things you can grab and go and run on. So. So we recently posted a blog about kind of packing for college, and this mom had some of those types of questions too. So let's talk a little bit about, like, was there anything that you took to college that you ended up just not needing, and it was kind of a waste of space?
There are some things that I brought. A lot of little things, really. It's the little things like, let's see, my mom brought me like these little like spray bottles for my clothes, like in case they got wrinkly or stuff like that. And I was like, I don't think I really need these. Like, small stuff like that. What else did my mom bring? My mom packed me a steamer for my clothes too, which is actually, it's not bad to have, but I sort of was a stickler about wrinkly clothes in high school, but I mean, it wasn't horrible to have, but just the little things, I would say. Make sure you're not overpacking too, because you want to get there and have like cramped space. Yeah. So I would say just bring whatever you think is necessary for yourself.
Winter mentioned in her blog that the dorm room isn't quite as big as you may think it is.
Your bedroom might be bigger than the dorm.
The dorm, and you're sharing it with someone else.
Exactly.
So put another person in there, and your space gets limited pretty quickly. Yeah. Is there anything that you said, man, I wish I would have brought this, or you had to go back home to get?
Yeah. In the fall when it got really chilly, because like when you go to school, it's still 85, 90
it's
degrees
August,
out.
It's
So you're not thinking about fall, but fall comes up pretty quickly, at least in Lincoln and other places too. So I would say just like preparing for fall, like sweatpants, sweatshirts. Because when I first came, all I brought was like shorts and t-shirts, but I wish I would have brought like long sleeves, sweatshirts and stuff like that.
But they have to balance that, because you do have to be mindful that because of that time, that space that you have, you have to think, do I have time maybe to go home?
That's right. Yeah.
At break or something, and kind of
true.
swap out, spring, summer, or summer, fall kinds of things for fall, winter clothes at that point in time. So, the clothing thing is interesting, because I remember in our dorm, like I had, this tiny little closet. I couldn't even fit what I brought in there. Yeah. And there were people that had boxes and boxes of clothes. I'm like, you know where you're putting all that.
Yeah, right.
So like anything with packing for college, I think the big tip is just to, be really aware of how little space you have, and get things that have, multiple purposes. Right. That I know there was one blog that Janine wrote a while back about clothing things and getting stuff that kind of works for spring and fall, and clothing that can kind of work two seasons. Right. So those are great blogs. To go back to our website, educationquest.org, we don't purge those things. We update them on a regular basis, so you can go back through and look through the blogs and use the search and find plenty of good stuff. And we're going to put some of those links in the description, so some of those blogs like Winter's Unpacking for College and stuff you should find down there, and you can kind of just click go and read, which is really easy, which is nice. So let's talk about like surprises in college. Is there anything that just was like, I had no idea this was coming?
I would say the first round of like midterms. I knew in high school, like we had midterms. Like sometimes like teachers would be like, all right, we have a test. It would just be a normal test. But in terms of college, like some teachers' grading scale is a lot different. So you could have 3 tests be your entire grade for the semester, or you also have teachers who like incorporate homework and stuff into their small quizzes. Participation points are huge too with some people. So I would say just in terms of the grading, sort of threw me for a loop at first, but eventually once I got adjusted, it wasn't horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something I remember kind of just shocking me was I had a class freshman year that we had a midterm and a final. That was it.
Yep.
So the entire grade was based on 2 tests. And it just seemed like no matter how academically prepared I thought I was, right. That's just a big change. So, so how did you, we talked a little bit about your studying, and I'm sure that helped you a lot with that transition. But was there anything else that you can think back to, like, it shocked me, but, I did this, and that's kind of what really helped me get through it?
Yeah, so I mentioned my study hours previously, but even, like, it's important even, like, during the day, in between classes, this is what I did. I would go home, grab something to eat real quick, and then head down to, we have a study room in our house too, so it's important to take time, like, in between classes as well, to prepare for your upcoming tests or quizzes, and finish up homework when you can. So
yeah, I think, I don't even remember which staff member wrote about that, but I think they talked about, like taking little chunks and doing like note reviews. So you take your notes in your class, and then sometime later that day, review the notes, so that it's still kind of fresh in your mind. So yeah, it's interesting that you had that kind of same experience, that kind of tip helps you to get through that. So what did you learn as a college freshman?
In terms of academics, or just
I guess anything. Divide it up.
Okay.
Say let's one thing that you learn kind of academically, and then let's say one thing that you learn, outside of classroom.
Right. So academically, I would just say time management is the biggest thing, and talking to your teachers, communicating with them. So setting a time aside each day to prepare. Like if you're struggling with the class, set aside a time each day to go over notes for that class, to improve in there. And then if you're struggling with the class, also to email your professor, see if you can meet up with them sometime, go in for their office hours to ask for help if you don't understand something. I would say that is the biggest thing academically.
So let me ask before you get on to like the outside classrooms.
Yeah.
Did you feel like there was a difference between high school and college as it pertained to like your engagement with your professors?
I would, since the class size is bigger, as I mentioned as well. It's hard for them to focus on one person out of...
Right, you get lost in the crowd.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And especially if they have multiple classes, you're probably the least you might think they probably have no clue who I am. So
Right.
that's why it's so important to email them, say, I'm in this class that you teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And
Right.
could I come in for extra help when you're available and stuff like that?
Yeah, because I think, when you're in high school and stuff, we've talked about this as Education Quest on some of the blogs and in some of the tip videos and stuff that we had, that, when you're in high school and stuff, a lot of times the teachers are aware of you, so they kind of come after you.
Right.
They'll kind of recognize when you're struggling, and maybe they'll offer help. But in college, you don't really get that, probably because of that crowd size that you mentioned. You just kind of get lost out there. And so they're not going to know that you're struggling. So if you don't reach out to them, you're not going to get the help you need.
Right.
So outside of classroom, what do you got?
So college is a huge, you're on your own experience. So I would say never be afraid to reach out. Your parents will always be there. If you're struggling, even though they're not there, reach out if you're worried about something. But also, I would say don't worry too much. It's important to still have fun in college. So I would say it's sort of like a work hard, play hard mentality. So if you doing really well in school, working hard, then don't forget to enjoy the moments too.
Find that balance, right?
Yeah.
So we always like to kind of end the videos, these live videos, with kind of your tip to the students. So we have a lot of students that are kind of making that transition. They're a month away from getting on campus and starting their freshman year. So speaking directly to them, what tips do you have for them?
I would just say enjoy the moments while you can. It's important to cherish every moment before college, because once you're in college, it's time to put on the big boy pants. You're on your own.
Buckle down.
Yeah,
right?
buckle down.
Yeah.
And I would also say it's important. Don't worry too much. I know a lot of kids worry right now. You'll do just fine. You'll find your own path. Meet the people who you're friends for the rest of your life.
Right.
They'll become your friends for the rest of your life. And I would just say that's really key.
It's telling us a lot of great information. I really appreciate you kind of coming out and sitting down with us and providing your experience to our audience. That's a very nice thing for you to do. Hopefully all of you out there found some good tidbits from Tom's experience and in what he's gone through. So if you have any questions for Education Quest about anything that we talked about, you can always reach out to us on social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're very active on, so you can message us questions and post replies to our blogs that we post on there and the videos and stuff that we do. So definitely engage with that and follow us. We are still giving away our social media scholarship. So when we hit our benchmarks on social media, we will be awarding $500 scholarships out. So you can still apply for those things. So just make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to increase your odds of doing that. And if you have any questions, or if you want to dive any deeper into some of the things that you talked about study habits and prepping for college and that, you can do that on our blog section of our website. So go to educationquest.org, and we have recent blogs on that main page, and then we have all of our blogs in the blog tab, so you can tap on that. So lots of good information. For those of you transitioning to college, you've got about a month to enjoy some time with some friends that maybe are going to a different school. So take some time, enjoy the rest of your summer, and reach out to us if you have any questions, and we will see you next month for another Education Quest Live. Bye. Take care.